Yeah, I usually enjoy your show, but I had to express my opinion about the last episode because I found it so distasteful. I mean, I thought I was going to learn about ancient philosophers and the search for the perfect male. I mean, my middle schooler was in the car, and I had to explain what a scrotum was. And now I can't get him to stop saying nutgrass because he thinks it sounds funny. In the future, I would like a warning when you're going to have an offensive topic. Thanks.
Greetings. This is the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. I am your host, G Long, and sitting across the way, as always, is Deb. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Hello, community. How are you?
Exactly. How is that community?
Oh,
well, one of them is upset.
One of them was upset. Yeah. Well, all right. Here,
hey,
wait.
Real quick.
Disclaimer. There might be offensive content on any podcast.
I don't know that I would be happy if at least one person didn't walk away being at least slightly offended.
All right. Well, maybe they'll come back. You walk away, maybe you come back.
I mean,
and just not have your kid.
I started out the podcast that way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there was the warning.
Anyway,
I gave it to you.
Yeah. So email, if you want to email your complaints.
Call.
Long in the boot.
If you call, you may get outed, though. We have the right to.
I won't say your name or anything.
Oh God, no!
No, I would never do that.
But you are going to get used.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless your name is Karen, and I think really honestly,
and then you have to say it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm over.
What I'm
saying
saying
on poor
is,
Karens.
if you have a complaint and your name is Karen, perhaps change the name on your email. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, because it's too easy.
Because it's just going to make me make fun of you. I can't not.
You can't not. Okay.
Anyway, so if you'd like to email,
juvenile
longintheboot@gmail.com is the place to send those emails.
You got a number?
I do. It's 337-502-9011. Let me say it again.
Sweet.
337-502-9011.
You trying to make a jingle out of it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know that that's good.
As soon as I get my good friend Landon
Why don't you
Blood
just look at
studio back up, I'll get him to make a jingle.
Landon is doing a fantastic job. It is coming along nicely.
I think I will pay him to create some jingles for me. I think
that might be yeah.
And
he looks like he's going to be extremely busy, though. He's got lots of he's got a lot of work building up while he's in construction phase.
And we'll talk more about Landon. In fact, once he gets his studio done,
yes, we'll have him back.
I'll get him back in
if he has time.
Or we'll go there.
Oh, yeah.
He can show us
we can take it on the road.
Take it on the road.
Take the happy show on the road.
I have the money.
Tens of dollars.
Somebody
asked for royalties for their opinion on our latest survey question. It's like royalties.
That was young Mr. Jones. I know who he is.
Yes.
Not the Jones.
Well, there are so many Joneses.
There's so many Joneses from this area.
Well, I can't keep up with them all.
But he is.
Oh, come on. Damn.
I missed it.
Oh.
Sorry. Bang. Went right past me.
Where is that wit? Tried to nail me. Oh, well, see, I can't even.
Tried.
All right. Deep breath.
Tried.
All right,
anyway,
take it on another road.
Yeah, the road less traveled, which
the one less offensive.
The road less traveled. The one that's not offensive.
Yes.
And he didn't. Frost had no idea, did he?
No, he really didn't.
All right, so
you just gave him the phone number. There we go. Pick it up from there.
And scene. Okay, so anyway, into the school year.
Oh, it is. It is so exciting.
So exciting.
There's 1 week left.
We attended graduation. The 9th graduates all looked great.
Yes, everybody looked great. They did a good job.
Their families there to support them in huge numbers.
Yes.
People getting there an hour and a half early.
To sit in the hot Louisiana sun.
And it was freaking hot.
It was. At least the humidity was low.
And I earned a new title.
Yes?
Yeah, well, we have these chairs and we have to put these covers over them. and then you have to fluff them. Well, I am now an official chair fluffer.
Yeah, they had to have one.
I'm a chair fluffer.
You had to fluff every chair?
I did. I fluffed
that
each
sounds
and every
like a
chair.
Resume item.
And I'll tell you what, those chairs were satisfied.
Wow, you're talking about graduates here. A little decorum.
Darn, I missed the turnoff to that road less traveled.
All right, G-Long, straighten it up. Straighten it up. We got serious topics because we've been kind of fluffy for the last two.
I don't think so. I think we. In fact, I can't prove this, but someone did honestly tell me that our last episode about the scrotum was in fact one of our most informative episodes.
It was very informative. He did say that he got a lot of good information from
I don't know if he's altering his scrotum, but
well, and and I don't know that I talked about this, but one of the other services, scrotum tanning.
Yes. That's a difficult thing. You have to start really short, like
tiny amount of
first
time.
You have to be shorn.
Yes.
And then it's only a few seconds. You have to build up. That area has.
But I don't know if you can wax that area.
Yes,
you can.
They do. It requires stretching.
Oh,
I've actually seen a video of it being done,
like silly putty being.
And I wasn't actually curious about getting it done. I just saw it in a thing, and it was like, "What, men get waxed too?"
Yeah.
Okay, I need to see this. I didn't need to see it.
No, yeah, I haven't seen it, and you know what? I have no desire to. I have the book of knowledge in front of me, and I'm not doing it.
Ridiculously painful.
It does sound. It just even the thought.
Yeah.
Even the thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's leave the gonads behind.
Yeah. And,
we passed them.
We had another call too, though. The call at the beginning of the show. I just want to say we have another complaint that was lodged.
Well, we don't have time for that. Put it at the end.
I'll put it at the end.
All right, loop it at the end. I don't care, but we don't have time for all that. It's the end of the school year, and we're thinking about, education, of course, because, as you said, we just saw another class out into the world. What does that make, like 22 years worth of 23 years worth of grads that have gone into the world?
I don't know.
Yeah, and y'all are doing a great job out there.
By the way, I would just want to say that all this, they've been saying every year since we became teachers, it was like, oh, these kids.
It's the worst group ever, and yeah.
Y'all are doing great.
Y'all are all doing great.
Y'all are doing great.
The group that just graduated and are about to venture out, y'all are going to do fine too.
And at least, at least the ones who listen to us. I mean,
well, I think
other people.
I found it very. I always find it very exciting because of all the potential.
Yeah,
and what are they going to do and where are they going to go? And I only get to keep up with them on social media, so of course I don't know all thousands of them and what they're doing, but the percentage I see, y'all are doing all right.
Yeah,
all right.
You look like good people.
Good people.
Yeah,
living lives. But in education,
but, teachers are about to go on break.
Yes, they're going to get their summer too, and you still have to think about your job, but you also get to go be you.
Up to a point.
Up to a point. Yes. Teachers in the U.S. make up 2.5% of the entire working population.
2.5%?
Yes.
Come on.
That's a large number. So about 4 million teachers in the U.S., K through 12, public, private, plus adult education, and also career and technical college schools.
But not universities.
Not universities, not higher. Yeah.
Okay.
So 4 million.
Yeah.
That's about the estimate. And that's been updated. 97% of those teachers are female.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I wasn't overly surprised by 4 million, but I was surprised by 97% being women.
That's actually surprising. Yeah.
That is, but when you have an industry like education with that many people, especially that many women, because women aren't always the most level, bad decisions get made.
Well, if I had said that, it would be
I don't
sexist,
I don't care.
But
I'm a female.
Since you said it, okay, I agree.
I'm proud. I'm a female. Yes, with some masculine qualities.
I'm proud
sometimes.
that you're a female as well.
Yes, you got to find balance.
Oh, I agree.
Sometimes you need to be manly. Sometimes you need to be feminine.
Sometimes.
There you go. All right. Teacher news.
You said you had a story of teachers being...
Well, we've already done Breaking Bad. We did that in the past.
We have had teachers Breaking Bad, but it's the end of the year, and so it's always fun to
to look back and see all the poor decision making.
Yeah.
In the past, we were sort of limited on the teachers making poor decisions. Now it's just
what? Well, it used to be that the worst decision teachers made, apparently, for the last 5 or 6 years was to have sex with a student.
Yes, and that's still going on, and I try to leave that
But it's
aside.
happening. That's happening so often that it doesn't even make the news.
No, it barely
anymore.
makes the news now. They're always like side stories. Or,
yeah. It used to be ahead of but not anymore. No, it's over.
Well, kids get.
Although the latest one I saw, I don't know the name or anything, who cares? But young blonde got caught, $30,000. That was her bond.
30?
30.
And then she got out? No
yeah, she's not teaching.
There was one recently that was out on bond. She had an ankle bracelet, and she got caught again with juveniles in her car. Like, she had left the house, picked up some more boys, and yeah, all right. But we weren't going to talk about those kind of stories. We were just talking about, like, curriculum decisions.
I liked one of my favorites recently was third and fourth grade. The teachers decided to bring the kids to go see School of Rock, the play. In their local area, and apparently had not seen the movie, and didn't
the one with Jack Black,
right? Even though the play said does contain some salty language, blah blah blah. Apparently, when the word "bitch" came up 3 or 4 minutes into the movie,
right away opened up with
they freaked out and took their kids out and everything and complained and all that stuff.
Well,
but they're teachers. They should have done their research.
Oh, you've got to, and that's my point about these teacher stories is you need to be so careful these days.
You need to at least live up to the standard you're holding your students up to.
Yes.
Look it up.
Yeah.
What the?
Yes.
School of Rock.
Or at least watch the movie.
Exactly.
At least see the movie and then wonder if it's in the play as well.
Yeah.
All right. That was poor decision making.
You had one.
I actually have several poor decision making.
Cough it up.
There is the teacher who assigned a history project, and one of her children came in and dressed like the Nathan Bedford Forrest, and in his Grand Wizard KKK
outfit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How historical.
So his presentation, I guess, didn't get a good grade.
Did he murder a bunch of unarmed black Union soldiers while
in costume in class? I hope not.
Oh, then it wasn't really a good Nathan Bedford
and again, middle school,
impression.
Right? 8th grader. Just came in his KK costume, gave his presentation. He sees no reason for his teacher to be in trouble. He doesn't understand why there's a problem. He says, there's no racist movement behind it.
I'm just a pointy-headed ghost.
There were black kids in the classroom, and they thought it was fine. Nobody felt targeted. Everybody, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and he was doing it for extra credit.
And we had the teacher recently along those same lines who decided that the N-word, he tried to explain why.
I've read the dialogue of that.
And I'm not even going to.
No.
Actually, there's audio, and it's pretty funny. Because all the audio is a teacher ranting, and then like every, half a second, beep, beep. I can say beep. I'm allowed to say beep if I'm not accusing somebody of being a beep.
Yeah, and I can use the word. That was his point. It's just a word. I'm not calling anybody the word.
And yet
I'm just
the video
using
that's
it.
out there has been edited by.
Oh, yeah. It was ridiculous.
Anyway, he's in trouble.
My Nathan Bedford kid, he was approved. The teacher knew what he was doing and didn't have a problem with it. So
that reminds me of Cartman.
Yeah, it makes me
South Park did it. Only Cartman dressed as Hitler. He also dressed as a Klansman once, but he said it was a ghost, a pointy-headed ghost. But he did dress as Hitler.
He did. Well, I think they're making points on society, just as
yeah. But then again, so did Prince Harry. He dressed not as Hitler.
Oh.
He did dress in a Nazi uniform once, though.
Come on!
We're not allowed to do that anymore.
Who among us has not
dressed as a Nazi? Me. I have not dressed as a Nazi. Although I did have a fine leather jacket that reminded me of the Gestapo's fine threads.
Oh, yeah, that trench coat. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Right. They ruined fashion. There was so much good stuff that we can't use anymore.
Well, if you're into the...
Way to go, Nazis.
Into the rigid, Okay. So another teacher, another situation, poor decision making. Actually, this is curriculum based, and the curriculum is in the news a lot right now because it's either teachers have their curriculum and parents don't really have any say so, or parents have all the say so, and every teacher has to everything has.
Don't
to
you
be
let
submitted.
my student learn about scrotums?
Well, but see, gone are the days where a teacher taught. Here's the general things that you need to get across to your kids, teach them. And now it's, here's everything you need to teach your kids. Here's the box. Do this.
Here's what the test is based on.
And and
follow this daily.
Well, but
like
what happens
script.
when the curriculum was put together and apparently the people are poor decision making? This was a school in Oregon.
Back up a little bit. You're popping.
Well, that's because you told me to move it.
Yeah, it needs to be further away from you. Okay, sorry.
All right. Well, Oregon High School online class in Canvas, which is a platform we use, Canvas. The assignment was to write 2 paragraphs about a sexual fantasy.
What?
Yes, health class and the coursework required.
No.
This was on online learning management system. It was a complete 10-point assignment titled Fantasy Story, and you had to write a short story. Actually, I say of 2 or more paragraphs. Your sexual fantasy. You could have no penetration of any kind or oral sex within the story. So that's part of the rubric, right?
Yeah.
You can't have that in there. You're going to lose points. However, you did have to choose 3 items like candles, massage oil, feathers, flavored syrup, all those little things that spice up a
Well, that's one of the things about that kind of stuff, like I was looking at Fox News earlier this morning. They have the thing at the bottom with the little stories, and they had already just had a thing about how too much sex education is happening towards children.
Yes, Fox News has a lot of that, actually.
Well, how come Fox News doesn't have a disclaimer about its adult content?
Oh, when you try to, if you pull up no, I don't.
You can't
I just
go
don't
to Fox
do it
News
anymore.
at school.
No, you
There's
cannot.
too much adult content.
But you know what? I wouldn't just say it's them because
it's not just them. My point is that even the people bitching about sexual content.
Share your Wikipedia experience the other day. It wasn't on the board. You were just at your desk.
I was just trying to think of it. What was I looking up? I can't remember what I was looking up.
I don't remember what the main topic was, but it was something inane, like, I don't know, like baseball bats.
It was something really stupid. And
there was a link within it.
The hyperlinks that are all peppered throughout the Wikipedia page, as you take your mouse and go down, if you cross a hyperlink, sometimes it'll do a little tiny pop-up. Well, the other day it was I was doing something and I hit a section. Oh, it was about like the Masters and Johnson report or something like that. Oh,
that's right. It was there.
Anyway, so as I'm scrolling down, I hit a hyperlink. I hadn't even seen the word, but the word was cunnilingus. And then a little tiny box opened up, and it was literally a cartoon version of cunnilingus happening.
And what was cunnilingus doing?
From the correct angle.
Oh, God.
And Colonel Angus was exploring the valley. And but yeah, I mean,
so you can't as a teacher, but that's my point. As a teacher, you have to be making good decisions.
In Florida right now, because of the law, just that happening
could get you
put in jail.
Yes. And there are so many extremes.
So
with
Wikipedia
these kinds of
should have it. Adult content is on here.
Yes, I guess
because
our caller,
filter,
you want a warning.
Our filter
did not
at school wouldn't pick that up. No. It didn't.
Yeah. Well, the health assignment, the story, they had to also show that there was going to be loving physical affection because this is a health class, and this is the sex education section, and so there has to be like love and relationship in it within the sex, so you can have kinky sex with somebody provided you also show that there is loving physical affection. And it was a male teacher. I said that 97% of all teachers in K through 12 are female. This was a male assigning it, which of course just adds a whole nother level, I guess.
But you know what? We should probably stop picking on teachers, I guess.
Well, I'm not really.
Well, we are.
You're in a position where you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
And yet the things that they're trying to enact are contradictory in some cases, ludicrous in others.
Yes.
It's like life in modern America.
And
you don't know where to turn.
The unions use that to scare new teachers we'll defend you. Well, you don't really.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. We're not members of the union, so
never have been, never will
teachers, be. Teachers, think, and nobody, and that's part of that curriculum. Nobody looked at it.
Think.
Yes, everybody think.
Teachers are just human.
That is absolutely true.
But there's another segment of the population. Actually, the show we were
our main topic.
Our main topic. This was just us talking about
school wrapping up.
This was shop talk.
The most recent stories we've seen of teachers doing
this is
stupid
just shop
shit.
Talk.
Our topic is actually another job industry that's actually pretty large in America, and that is the service industry.
Service industry.
Yeah, the restaurant and bar industry. Service industry encompasses more than that, but it is a very large.
And in particular, the tipped service industry.
Yes.
What got us on this, of course, and some of you have probably seen it already, but it's the number of places now that ask you if you want to tip.
Yes.
And
for nothing.
For nothing.
Yes.
I went to a bakery and they spun the little thing around and it said, "Would you like to leave a gratuity?"
I know. And then the
lowest gratuity is 18%. That's the lowest.
No.
Yes. And it went up to 30.
Oh, I didn't see all that. Well, then you get no percent.
You don't get a percent.
You don't get a percent.
You're behind a counter.
The business owner sets a price for products. I pay that price for the products. If you need more, then add it to the price of the product, because your handing it to me across the counter was not enough.
And I feel the same way about processing fees too, by the way, with credit cards.
With credit cards.
Put it into the price and stop it.
Well, as service occupations in 2020, there were 25 million in the restaurant.
Almost 10 times more than teachers. So a lot of people out there working in the service industry.
Yes, a lot. And more women than men. Average yearly salary is $27,800 for, and this is
poverty level.
I found this really interesting. So the average age for men and women in the service occupations is 38. Average male salary for a year is $34,000. Female 22,600.
Oof. That, you know why? That's management.
That's management.
Management is getting more money.
It was, the breakdown of it was actually really interesting.
Does that mean then that sexism is more rampant in the service industry
than others?
Food service
probably
industry?
Because the majority don't have degrees and
true.
So they tend to not fight back, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's not the way to say it.
But tipping is what got us going down this road.
Here, let me say it's actually less than teachers, because 25 million is total service industry, and what they include in that is nursing cares, home health, all of that stuff. So of that 25 million, 26% actually work in restaurants and bars. In the hospitality section.
How many?
26% of the 25 million.
Gotcha. Okay,
so that brings it down
about
some.
Fourth. So about 5 million.
And it is less than before the pandemic.
A little bit more than teachers, but not that much.
Yes.
Weirdly enough.
It is.
But now that percentage of differences in pay is really striking when you think about nursing. That means there's a lot of men in other fields besides restaurants that are making a hell of a lot of money in the service industry. So
average mean salary for people in the whole service industry is $55,000. And if you take all of the jobs, so then they're making half.
That's pretty much about.
So restaurant workers are making half.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Restaurant workers make half of what other service industry people make on average. So there we are.
And then tipping supplements that.
Right. And so then we're to the tipping. And we started noticing more and more places. And then the one the other day was a automated cash out machine where you could ring up your groceries. And it asked if you wanted to leave a tip. And that was the one that kind of just snapped everybody's brain.
That was the one that really upset people because now, if we've gone this far, you're going to have such a backlash that nobody's going to get money. Nobody's going to tip anything.
And that'll actually end up costing people more money, because then the employer, in a lot of cases, will have to make up the difference.
Well, yeah, because I suspect, after reading the laws surrounding tipping just in Louisiana, I feel like there's a lot of room for corruption on the restaurant side.
Absolutely.
Basically just taking servers' tips.
And
because
exactly.
It's a lot of double speak. The language, of course, when they write these laws makes it such that, and how many restaurants, get away with breaking the law.
Well, I guess we need to just dive into this tipping thing.
Sir. I didn't look
All
up
right.
that. I didn't look up that information.
The history of tipping. Actually, we'll just start there. Why not? What does this mean? According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the word tip originated as a slang term, and its etymology is unclear. According to the dictionary, the meaning give a small present of money began around 1600, and the meaning give a gratuity to is first attested in 1706. The noun in this sense is from 1755. The term in the sense of to give a gratuity first appeared in the 18th century. It derived from the sense of tip, meaning to give, to hand, to pass, which originated in thieves' lingo.
Oh,
all right. This sense may have derived from the word tip, meaning to strike or hit smartly. But we also have the Low German tippen, to tap. But we don't know. The word tip was first used as a verb in a play in 1707.
That's something you do.
Farquhar, the playwright, used the term after it had been used in criminal circles as a word meant to imply the unnecessary and gratuitous gifting of something somewhat taboo, like a joke or illicit money exchanges.
Oh.
And so that's where it is. And then the French...
since they started the first restaurant.
Gratuity actually is connected to the French gratuité, which means free gift, freely given.
Oh, gratis. Okay.
And this is from the 1520s, but it's actually connected to the 1300s. Feudalism, money given for services. Sometimes it translates as drink money. In German, Trinkgeld. Drink money.
Okay.
Drinkenpenge in Danish, drink silver in Middle Scottish. All about, here's a glass of liquor for you.
Yeah.
In order to show my thanks.
Thanks for what you've done. Your extra service.
And then we get to Tudor England. Tudor England being Henry VIII, we'll say. Medieval times, tipping was a master serf custom wherein a servant would receive extra money for having performed really well. And then it just kept going. And by the 17th century, it was expected that overnight guests to private homes would give the homeowner a little bit of money when they left.
Even if the lodgings were freely given?
Yes.
Okay.
Soon afterwards, customers began tipping in London coffee houses and other type establishments all over England. It just seemed to have just taken off.
Isn't that funny that it really began, and then now it's like you don't tip in Europe. I mean, you can, and they take it because it's America, but essentially you don't have to because they make a living wage.
And they got rid of it.
Yeah.
However, in the 1850s and 1860s, Americans had wanted to seem very English-like. They wanted to look aristocratic. This is especially true in the South. However, until the early 20th century, Americans viewed tipping as inconsistent with democratic society.
Yeah,
they were against it completely.
Everybody has a job. Do your job.
And later, in fact, 6 American states made tipping illegal.
Oh, wow.
But
northern states,
but
right?
You could, yes. Yeah. But you couldn't enforce anti-tipping laws.
So then you're breaking the law. So that's exciting.
3 of the states were in the north. 3 of them were in the south, including Mississippi, weirdly enough. The last of these laws was repealed in 1926 in Mississippi. Some have argued that the original workers that were not paid anything by their employees were now newly freed slaves, and that this whole concept of not paying them anything and letting them live on tips carried over from slavery. The anti-tipping movement spread to Europe with the support of the labor movement, and tipping went away in Europe because of this. They saw it as
a negative,
connected to slavery.
Yeah,
that's what they saw.
So tipping is seen as got a connection to slavery. So, well, then America's going to pick that up too, because the past, it's got a dirty past.
Right. And so let's talk about real quick the tipping as far as the slavery thing goes, because it's actually not slavery. It turns out that in effect, it's more about the train cars. When Pullman, and this is the key, tipping took off. And the railroads
travel
is a place where tipping did not exist until just after the Civil War. Now, why did it exist then? All of a sudden, it just sprang up on trains. Well, because servants on trains in the South had been unpaid previously. Mm-hmm. Many of them still had those jobs, but now actually expected to be paid. What? Anyway, the Pullman Company, a luxury rail car service founded by George Pullman, began hiring newly liberated Southern black men as porters and servers, but he let everyone know that he wasn't paying them very much money.
And so you need to supplement.
They got $12 a month, by the way.
Rich people, especially newly rich people, love to show off their wealth.
Exactly. And apparently the Pullman car guys realized that the better they could do, the more money they could make.
Which is the origin of the tipping system. You give a little more, you work a little harder, you show a little extra attention, and they give you a little more for that.
So if you wonder why some of the southern states banned tipping, that it was because of the people who were getting the tips. Because white workers
weren't getting as much.
Were saying that it was unfair.
Yeah. It's discrimination. Okay,
but it took until 1942 before the Supreme Court ruled that if an employee gets a tip, the money is theirs to keep. At that time, employers could not make the staff share with the kitchen staff. So, but look, it had to go all the way to 1942.
Yeah.
Before tips were guaranteed to the people getting the tips.
Otherwise, it was just sketchy. Yeah.
And then moving forward, 1966, they had to create the tip credit, which legally allows restaurants to pay restaurant workers a sub-minimum wage, accepting that tips will get them over the minimum wage threshold.
Assuming that it will.
So for those of you who don't know, and I can't imagine people don't, but still, here we are. If you are a tipped employee at a restaurant, they can pay you $2.13 an hour.
Yes.
The employer has to make up for that if you don't make enough to bring it up to $7.25.
Well, that's the federal minimum wage.
Correct.
Louisiana does not. Louisiana's minimum wages.
We have to obey the federal law.
Yeah, we have.
But anyway, so that's the tip credit. But even now, when you go to a place with waiters and waitresses, it's quite possible that they're walking around making $2.13 an hour.
Yes.
So their money is almost completely based on what you leave them as a tip.
And as far as taxes go, the federal government is assuming that they are making the minimum wage per hour, and they also tax them. I think it's 8%. I don't know what it is.
It's 8% of sales.
Food sales before taxes, 8%. So...
And that's why every waitress has their own number to be able to ring. And that was actually the reason they created the point of sale system, was to be able to track
how much they sold in food and beverages, and they would tax them on that amount. So if you do not tip your server, they have paid to wait on you.
They go in the negative.
Yes, because they're paying a tax on the food and drink you had. Don't be an ass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you don't tip, don't eat.
Well, don't go to that type of restaurant.
Go to McDonald's like your taste buds can handle.
Go to a restaurant that,
But if you don't tip,
I'm sorry,
you're forcing people. I worked in.
We did that too long, and know people that
we
are
have a
still.
Child, and we know people that do it.
I mean, look, the wage that as a server I was making in 1982, 83 is still what they're making.
Yes. It hasn't changed since 1996, I think.
Now, at the time, if you got a 10, 15% tip in the 80s, that was a good tip. So we've upped it to 20% because in 82, I think was the year the federal government decided, okay, look, we're going to tax you.
Now, I do have a slight disagreement with that, though.
Okay.
Why did it go up to 20%? Everything else went up, so the 15% should have gotten larger, too. So
it goes up because of inflation?
So, in effect, we gave everybody out there, if everybody's tipping 20%,
you gave a little raise.
We gave them all a raise.
But you're not, because there's the percentage that don't tip at all.
Sunday nights.
And that.
Yeah. We know.
We all know. Anyway, we're not calling anybody out, but those of you that know.
Those of you who go out late right before a restaurant closes on Sunday night and don't leave tips and let your kids run wild, you know who you are.
All right. Just don't be an ass.
Don't be an ass.
I'm going to just say that the whole show now. Don't be an ass. Okay.
I was and so that nobody gets offended by the word ass, I include an ass.
We're going to put a disclaimer at the start of every show that there is potentially something offensive, or because did we use foul language? I don't know that we, in talking about scrotums.
I think I might have.
Oh, you know what? I think I said the F word last time.
I may have.
I don't think you did. You don't say it as often as I do.
Well, not on the air.
Well, I'm just being me. I'm living my truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to use those phrases.
I mean, I say it a lot in my head, if that helps.
Well, I have control in the classroom because I'm not a teacher who's making poor decisions like some.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
okay, so tipping today, taxes, and the idea that
so I shouldn't take my kids to see the new Fast and Furious movie?
10? Well, I hear it sucks, so if you want to take them, go. And my kids are in their 30s.
Of course, there is that big giant ball going down the street. Is it a problem?
It's like a pig ball. My Aunt Florence's trailer got run over by a pig ball that came off a semi one time.
There are people who don't know what a pig ball is.
Google it.
It's just Google it. It's a big giant ball they pull through pipelines.
Yeah, it rolled off that semi. I just had a flashback of that whole event. I must have been about 12.
Pig ball.
And it just rolled off a Swift Plant Road.
Yeah, I just sitting there and I saw a truck with a pig ball on the back.
Nobody was hurt, but the trailer was cutting.
And then all of a sudden, the pig ball was coming right for me. And then I thought back to all those pigs that I helped neuter back in the day, and I knew was karma coming back to get me.
They were getting their revenge. Okay. That's terrible.
Anyway,
all right.
So back to tipping. So yeah, you need to tip. But anyway, when you go, just know that your server is getting taxed on the total amount of the 8% of the value of the food you order. So if you don't tip them at least 8% of what you order, they go in the negative
to cover your stuff.
And the employer actually has to cough
Okay,
up that
so
money.
then that's the other aspect. I sent you the link to the site about Louisiana tip laws and how, because it's really kind of hinky how a restaurant Starbucks, I guess, is another event.
Well,
but
this is the problem.
They get an hourly rate.
They get the minimum wage
yes,
which is $7.25 an hour. Maybe we'll go up. I don't know, but that's the important thing. Louisiana doesn't have a minimum wage, so they have to follow federal law. And there's now this thing where all these people who get an hourly rate are also asking for tips. Starbucks is one of the first ones I remember doing this.
Yes, and I think the baristas make more than minimum
They do.
wage.
First of all, if you're an employer and you're trying to hire a staff of nothing but minimum wage people, you're going to go out of business.
Yeah, because you're going to have nobody's going to care.
Nobody's going to care.
No, why would they?
By the way, $2.15 an hour when they instituted that in 1996, today that would be $5.30.
So even still, it was $2.13 for me. I think when I started waiting tables at Pit Grill, it was $1.80 something.
It was $1.87, I think.
Yeah,
and then it went to like $1.90.
$2.13 was the last time, and then I went into the bar and I stayed in the bar.
And you started getting
and
hourly
I never waited tables again, plus tips, and made some good money.
Yeah.
But it's also seasonal.
It's also hard work.
It is hard work, and it's also kind of a seasonal thing. You can't count on that.
Well, you shouldn't have to count on the kindness of strangers for your pay, but at the same time,
it's the system that's in place.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tip people who aren't doing more than what their job asks them to do, I guess. When you're a waiter or a waitress, it's a fluid job performance.
Yes.
Because people ask for all kinds of weird
Yes, you
crap.
have to be a multitasker.
Right. If you're at Starbucks, sorry, Starbucks employees, don't take this personally, you have a set number of things you have to do, and it's to make the freaking coffee. That's it.
And hand it to the customer.
If you're a bakery and you work behind a bakery counter, you're getting paid an hourly rate to do that thing and ring up people. You don't need a gratuity. I mean, you can need it, but you shouldn't get one because you're not going above and beyond what you normally do.
But a server does everything.
If a server wants to make good tips, they do go above and beyond.
Well, and
Fill the glasses.
And look what they also do, though, because they know their job performance is also dealing with the kitchen and dealing with everything else. So they tip out. They tip the bartender. So your servers are also tipping the people, their coworkers, who are making an hourly rate.
And employers are also screwing over waiters and waitresses because they have duties they have to perform that aren't tippable, like, okay, I need you to go spend an hour rolling silverware.
But I'm not making tips.
But you're still making $2.13 an hour.
You know, I think that's changed now. I think they actually shift over to another number when they do those kind of duties. I'm not.
They're supposed to.
Yeah, and I'm not 100%, but that's just like the tip out. The tip out is supposed to be something that
apparently there's a lot of unscrupulous activities,
and
there.
I think that's my point. And just like the credit card processing fee, did you read that on the Louisiana one? That the restaurant can actually take a percentage of the server's tip that you leave on the credit card to cover the processing fee. So I've seen people go into restaurants and complain on the restaurant page
but I learned
they're paying
something
that
else.
Processing fee. Well, not if they're taking it out and using the server's tip that you've left. So then they're getting it twice.
Not only that,
I've got questions.
We've all gone to a restaurant, well, hopefully, with a large group, and it says there's a 15% gratuity for large groups. Now, if it says gratuity, that means it has to go to the wait staff. But
if it just says,
there is a 15% fee on groups 18%. Larger than 8,
then that's not
necessarily going to the server. The employer can actually keep that money as a service fee.
So it's the language.
It has to say gratuity or tip.
Otherwise, it's open for the discretion of the restaurateur.
And many restaurants have tip pools.
Yes.
Where the waitress has to actually put the money into a pot, and then it gets split up amongst all of them. I already
said that. They tip a percentage of their tips.
Yes. But
to go to in
many states now, they have banned that.
Well, I know that they took them to court, the Starbucks people, over that.
Starbucks did,
their employees.
Recently DoorDash was another one because they are contract workers, technically, gig employees as they call them now.
Yes.
And people were tipping them. Well, it turned out that, okay, if you agreed to work for DoorDash and they said, hey, we'll pay you $12 an hour, and your tips went above that, they kept what wasn't $12 an hour.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And so they walked up.
I think not DoorDash.
Well, DoorDash had to completely revamp their tipping system.
Yeah.
Because people were getting screwed. Speaking of which, by the way.
Getting screwed?
In a way.
Are we going there?
When servers have to ring up food, if you call a place, let's say, and a server is required to ring up that order because she answered the phone on her own number. Oh,
on that number, yeah.
When you tip the DoorDash employer, she's getting taxed on the total sale and not getting anything else for it.
Yes.
So there's a lot of gray areas in this whole tipping mechanism.
Okay, so then that leads us to, and I was looking for our comments page. I don't know where those comments are that our listeners sent in about that, because the future of tipping, I mean, you know, our gig is always to the past, the present, and where we're going, because that makes people not so willing to tip. You don't want to tip as readily, especially when you're trying to be over tipped in every damn transaction you have, every part of the day. And we won't even go into your tattoo artist and your hairdresser. I mean, look, Ricky gives you a price. Ricky there's no tip. Ricky tells you what he wants for the work he's just done, and that's that. But then I've gone to a female tattoo artist, and at the end of her time, you know, and she is her own employee. She is, you know, her own employee. So she expected a tip.
Yeah.
I could tell.
Right.
You know, she was younger. I don't know. She expected a tip. I guess hairdressers, they expect a tip. And now if your hairdresser has got their own place, they're the business owner. So, you know, it's just weird. If I'm paying $45 for a haircut, why do I have to give more?
I agree.
Because the haircut's
You're paying for the haircut.
Okay, I'm old. I've had a lot of hairdressers.
If they're paying someone rent,
for a chair, that's my point. If it's their place,
you shouldn't
and
have
they
to tip.
set a fee, then that's the cost for a haircut. Well, and you know, sometimes a hairdresser can don't cut the hair quite as short, so you got to come back quicker.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Sometimes a haircut just isn't as good as the last one you got.
That's right.
So do you just go, well, it's all right, but no, I'm not tipping you today? No, you can't do that, because then that's just ill-mannered and you'll never get a decent haircut.
And that's true as well.
Okay.
So I've got the comments. We asked on my page, actually, not the Long in the Boot page.
Because you're terrible about social media.
Well, no, but Long in the Boot page, people don't see it the way they see mine or yours.
Yeah, because we're not paying for ads, and the algorithms don't. Yeah.
So I asked it on a personal thing, but I did say that it was asking for a friend, Ellipsis podcast. So all of the people that commented, I consider to be assistant producers.
Oh, okay. Tell us what our assistant producers feel like the future of tipping will be in America.
Well, we got the ones that say, look, I always tip 20% if the service is decent.
That's because our listeners are good people.
I generally tip when I know they're getting $2.13 an hour, not for counter service, not for buffets, not for drive-thrus.
Yes.
We got somebody that said, I was a server and bartender. I tip, but I'm getting really irritated with people asking for tips when they're not tippable
it
employees.
Oversaturates, and you don't want to do it.
We got a former student who said the service industry will always be here, but 10 years from now, I can see it being replaced almost completely by automation.
Oh, like European.
There are already a couple of McDonald's that have zero employees.
Yeah. Well, no, in Europe they had people in the back.
Yeah,
they did have people.
And by the way, in Europe, in Denmark, $22 an hour is the pay at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. They have 401. Well, they
charge you for a ketchup.
Yeah,
you don't get ketchup for free.
But the point is, price wise, their hamburgers cost about 15 cents more.
Yeah, it's not that much.
If my McDonald's employees could make $22 an hour and I had to pay 15 cents more for a hamburger, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would.
I'm already having to pay a ridiculous amount of money anyway for a stupid hamburger. It really
is. I don't eat out at those places often.
Small fries are now $2.40. What the? Get out of here with that.
All right. Well,
I'm going to grow my own potatoes.
We just did. I pulled them this morning.
We just pulled some this morning. Anyway, one of our listeners, a Miss Scarlett, she said that it's getting very confusing for younger generations.
Yes.
They won't understand that there's a difference between a server and a bartender or a coffee barista. Mm-hmm. And she thinks that what's going to happen is people will just stop tipping altogether.
That's what I think is going to happen, too.
And, of course, tipping is about to start dropping because of prices. We know that happens.
Well, that's discretionary income. And, you don't have it if you don't.
A former student, Andrew, burn all the corporations. Pay us a goddamn living wage, for God's sakes. Our longtime super fan, Josh, sees it being taken over by AI and other technological advances. He thinks that kind of the same thing. We always know to tip a waiter or waitress or a bartender, depending on how well they served. I know it's been at least 2 years. He said, but I do, in his job, he's a body guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, I've never really gotten a tip for my services, but I go the extra mile. So in a way, he's kind of saying the thing about like the beauty shop.
Okay, like the beauty shop thing. But when he does a job for somebody and they recognize excellence, he can charge more for his service, therefore tipping himself by saying, you know what, I think that I can price it a little bit higher than Joe Blow down the street because his service is moderate.
Right. And I like what he said. Although almost all of my customers are beyond grateful for how I do their work, the majority will never think to tip. But I think the best advice is if you didn't have to do it, tip, and you really appreciate what someone else did, then the tip is more meaningful. Okay. And I like that.
All right.
I really do.
Well, because you see those stories from time to time where somebody, is kind to someone and they leave a crazy high tip. I saw, actually when we were in Texas on our evacuation trip for Laura, I went to get a haircut because it had been too long.
Not to be confused with the Delta trip.
and I did not get a good haircut. I did not tip. However, it
was a horrible haircut. You looked awful.
Everything about that time was awful, except the fact that we had such kind, caring friends who let us live in their home for 3 weeks.
And we still had a home when we came home.
But those times. Anyway, the guy in front of me tipped not my hairdresser, but another lady who I had noticed while I was waiting was that she was engaged in conversation. Obviously, she was being kind to him as she cut his hair. He gave her $100 bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. I got one, though this will be a surprise. Somebody I went to high school with, Nancy. There was a tip jar at the DMV. This is in Arizona, by the way. There was a tip jar at the DMV when they went to renew her mom's driver's license.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine?
DMV.
The DMV.
You're a damn city employee. You're a government worker. You get better benefits than I get.
You don't get this.
You don't get that. And we don't even want to talk about people who reach their damn grimy hands into somebody's tip jar and take their monay.
That's right. And
then try to give it back to you and pay you for your.
Who is a proudly serving member of the military.
You don't know those times.
Said that it's getting to the point now, though. He said tipping shouldn't be a thing anymore, but too many people are getting screwed over by their bosses and don't say anything. This is especially true with my generation, who will cry all day but never actually get out there and make change.
They'll bitch on the restaurant review page. They'll gripe up a storm there.
They'll call along in the boot and complain.
And they'll call along in the boot and complain.
Speaking of which, her middle school son, she had to explain what a scrotum was.
I know. No,
middle school.
You know what? I think she misunderstood. He knew what a scrotum was.
Maybe she didn't.
Middle school boys talk about a lot.
And nut graph
of stuff.
is funny.
Nut graph is funny.
So
And I'm not going to use it when I talk about writing an introduction to their essay, but I'm going to in my head think get a good nut graph.
Yeah.
Make it a really good juicy nut graph.
Juicy nut graph.
Really hook them.
But anyway, I guess so. Long story short,
tipping.
First of all, if you're in a restaurant, sit-down restaurant, and you got a server who's actually bringing you the food, bringing you the drinks, refilling your glasses,
being attentive, pay attention to what they're doing too.
Tip.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to what
How many
they're doing.
tables do they have? If they're slow, but maybe they've got 15 tables. You know.
I should mention. These people are bringing you food. You don't want to make them mad.
Threat. Don't make it a threat.
Oh, I should have got the South Park song.
You just need to leave South Park alone now.
I know. God,
we've told our listeners that that's where the wisdom of the ages is.
The wisdom of the ages.
If you want the wisdom of the ages and you want to know the history of America, begin South Park episode 1. Oh, and watch it all the way through.
By the way, if you haven't gone and seen Guardians of the Galaxy, please go see it.
You enjoyed 3. Bring a handkerchief.
I did enjoy it, but it has some elements of Pixar, which is it will wrench your heart, twist it and turn it.
I think you cried a little more than me. I think you got teary.
Well, you didn't look. You hid your eyes.
I did. That's true.
You averted your eyes.
I averted my eyes.
So don't give me that static.
Well, then I didn't have to get teary because I didn't watch.
I subjected myself to all of it.
Despite what he says, I am a caring human being. I am.
It's better than 2.
It is better than 2. However, I'll watch 1 and 2 again, but I'll never watch 3 again.
Unless it's on a double bill with a light affair like Schindler's List.
Shut up. Do we go out on a crazy story?
Do you have a crazy story?
I do.
All right, do it because
it's that time. All right. Substitute teacher turned Texas middle school class into a fight club.
Awesome.
Yeah. Posted a guard at the door. Oh, the sub has been fired from Kimbrough Middle School. They caught it on video. I had to stop it multiple times because I didn't think this was real, said the student's mother who watched the video. Daughter and some kids at the school reported it to her. Some kids came out of the class bloodied. Oh, yeah. Kids left the class bloody, and she is now getting death threats for reporting it. The child that reported it is in trouble. The teacher, of course, has been let go. However, the idea that the kid who reported it has gotten in trouble lets you know that Kimbrough Middle School maybe their fight club.
Oh, yeah. Well, that connects to that story I said earlier about the guy using the N-word over and over again.
Yeah.
When the school investigated, the first thing they did was they suspended the student.
Yeah, because she recorded him
without
permission. He specifically told her.
Phones are supposed to be turned off all day at that school. Oh, let me laugh. Let me throw my head back.
Right, crazy. Anyhow, school about to end.
Yeah, so we're done.
Tip your servers as long as we're still doing that.
Tip your servers and
your bartenders. They care about you.
Well, especially if you sit at a bar and whine.
Yeah. Because they're listening to you and they're talking to you. And you know what? They're also kind of helping to watch out. Your daughters in bars some bartenders are the front line making sure that those girls are safe.
Absolutely.
So you also have to consider those things too.
Indeed.
Your teenagers are going to bars.
And so there you go. I do have, we had that earlier message about the last show. I have another.
Are you going to play that out?
I think what I'm going to do is play it before the music.
Not after.
Because, once you hear the music, it's kind of the end. You know what I mean?
Command decision.
Yeah, just a command.
You don't want to be like Marvel and make people sit around and wait for the credits?
No, that irritated the hell out of me. I had to sit there.
That was really long.
12 minutes waiting for that stupid
Watching
scene.
the neighbors try to find their phone they dropped below the seat.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't know those seats could do that.
I didn't either. It swallowed that damn phone.
But anyway, so... but you have to say something before I push the button to play the call.
What do you want? Oh, you want me to go out on our friendly, happy note?
We have to. Yeah, I mean, because it's summer now and all things are possible.
Yes, because joy is portable.
And El Nino is coming.
What?
El Nino.
El Nino. Your joy is portable, people. Bring it with you. Bye.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
I'm calling Long in the Boot as a very frustrated listener who has been faithful from day one. The woke mob has already gone after the sacred nature of male genitalia. I did not expect my favorite podcast to do likewise. Just through the promotion of the idea of plastic surgery on God's most loose and wrinkly masterpiece, I find offense. I do not understand why we would resort to such humor as the gonads. All I can say is that I detested that last episode. I did not have a ball. It was a sack of disappointment. Anyone who enjoyed it has got to be nuts. I hope you take my word seriously. We'll revise future episodes. Thank you very much.
Making a commitment to just put it to paper and having that paper around, like actually seeing it. It's helpful. Some people put it on their refrigerator. I don't like shit on my refrigerator.
I don't really like to keep paper around.
You keep everything around. That is a lie.
No.
You keep everything around. There's receipts from Walmart from last week still sitting on the table. I'll eventually go by and throw it in the trash. I leave it for you for a few days. So you're saying
that I keep things that have gone past their usefulness around.
Oh, don't try to imply that. I see where you're trying to go with that. And you're taking a Walmart receipt and turning it into a life with a person and a human being. You are full of what's the word?
You saw my
shit
subterfuge.
I did. I saw through it. I knew where you were going.
I was having fun.
I can shift. I can shift from concrete to abstract in a second.
I was enjoying the going there.
Fuck off.
I thought it was kind of funny. Let's see.
There's my long sigh. We better just...
Long sigh. And where did you get the name Long Sigh?
I can stay at Guidry, you know.
Not anymore. Those days are over.
I don't want to pay the cost.
You'd have to pay money.
No, I know. I've been along longer than I've been a Guidry.
Hey, is that true?
It is, isn't it?
By now. Oh, it must be true by now.
Well, yeah. Shit, you scooped me up when I was 18.
Scooped you up with my tongue. We're going to edit that.
It's like you're not leaving that one, are you? You always say, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that.
I don't think
no, that one's got to go. It's too much.
Although it's pretty funny.
It's pretty damn funny.
Certainly beats scrotum. All right. You think we're ready to go?
I don't know. If we stayed on this, we'd probably get an hour, but it might not be usable.
Most of it probably would not be. All right. So,
and I don't know what kind of information we'd be imparting.
We'd be quiet, let this play, and then we start the music.
Then we start.
So, shh. In fact, I don't want to pod me down. Where am I at? I can pod me down.
Just do it. We'll be quiet.